Car makers are always developing new features to make their cars better. Some of these trends are good. Others are just plain annoying and they should die out like fidget spinners and the floss. I've compiled a list of the latest new car trends that really get on my nerves. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why they need to disappear like right now. I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Carwow. Buy, sell,
Carwow.
Why the heck are car makers trying to reinvent the wheel? And I mean the steering wheel. All this started when Tesla decided to give the Model S Plaid a weird rectangle with two handles instead of a normal round wheel. Tesla calls this the Yoke. Sure, it looks different and it has a sci-fi spaceship vibe to it, but it makes driving in town a right pain in the arse. You end up crossing your arms all the time because you can only hold this yoke in two places. Reversing is a nightmare too because it's much harder to reach the handles when you're looking behind you. Because you can't get a Tesla Model S Plaid in the UK just yet, though I do have one on order, and if you want to see what happens when it arrives, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to turn your notifications on. That way you won't miss when it does finally come here. Anyway, because I can't get one in the UK yet, to find out what it's like driving a car regularly with a yoke, I modified an old Mercedes S-Class to give it a yoke, then used it to carry out a series of scientific driving tests. Spoiler alert, the yoke was total crap. In fairness, you can now order a Model S Plaid without a yoke, but it's too late. Other car makers are already jumping on the bandwagon. Lexus has revealed a yoke in the new RZ450e, although that system is a little bit different from Tesla's. It uses an electric steer-by-wire system instead of a mechanical steering column. This means you don't need to turn the yoke as much to get full steering lock, so there's no need to cross your arms. That fixes one issue I had with the Tesla yoke, but all this makes a car more complicated and more expensive. And is it really better than a regular steering wheel? I reckon we leave yokes to David Hasselhoff in Knight Rider. Because when it comes to cars, a yoke is a joke. Most of the top spec gadgets in new cars cost extra. It's fine. It's been that way for years. But some car makers have found a way to make you keep paying for stuff your car already has. Take BMW's heated seats, for example. Some of BMW's latest cars come with heated seats already installed, but you have to pay £15 a month if you actually want to use them. And it isn't just the seats either. A heated steering wheel costs £10 per month in entry-level versions of the new iX. You can still pay up front for these features if you prefer, but if BMW is going to fit them regardless, why not make them standard? Then there's Apple CarPlay. All the software is already in the car as part of the connected drive feature, but this subscription runs out after 3 years. When this runs out, you need to renew the subscription or pay an extra £265 to unlock Apple CarPlay. Come on BMW, you get Apple CarPlay for free in a Toyota Aygo Cross. That car costs £20,000. But BMW isn't the only brand doing this subscription thing. In the US, Mercedes is charging customers the equivalent of £1,000 per year to unlock the full performance in some versions of the new EQE, EQS and EQS SUV. If you don't pay for it, your car will accelerate from 0 to 60 miles an hour about a second slower. What a total ripoff. Electric cars are getting more and more aerodynamic. This helps reduce drag, which improves the car's range. That's all well and good, but there's a problem. A lot of brands are fitting their EVs with what they call aero wheel covers. These sound fancy, but they're basically just plastic hubcaps, like the ones you got on cars in the 1980s. One of the worst offenders is the Tesla Model Y. On a basic single motor model, the cheaper 19-inch alloy wheels with plastic covers give you about 60 miles of extra range. That's compared with the optional 20-inch wheels, but they look really cheap and nasty. And I prefer the design of the actual alloys underneath the wheel trims. But then, you don't get the efficiency saving. On the whole, I think I'd rather have some nice alloys and sacrifice a couple of miles of extra range. Annoying trends aren't always about adding extra things you don't need. Sometimes car makers get rid of useful stuff that we've had for years. I'm talking about rear windscreen wipers. I understand that some saloons and coupes don't really need a rear wiper. This is because the air flowing over the car helps clear the windscreen. But this doesn't work on most SUVs nor hatchbacks. Despite this, you don't get a rear wiper on the Toyota BZ4X, Kia EV6, Subaru Solterra or Hyundai Ioniq 5. If the rear window gets covered in road grime, there's no wiper to clean it off. Okay, I understand, yeah, a car without a rear wiper does look neat and tidy. But Land Rover came up with a clever solution years ago on the Range Rover. They put the wiper above the rear screen and they hid it underneath the spoiler. Simple idea, brilliant. Some normal cars have this kind of wiper nowadays, like the Hyundai Tucson and the Kia Sorento. This is doubly annoying because Hyundai and Kia both decided to get rid of the rear wipers on their latest electric cars. Why? Why? They could have fitted them underneath the spoiler like on their other cars. Madness. Modern driver assistance technology is brilliant. Cars can adjust their speed to keep you safe, they can steer to keep you in lane, and they can even pull over by the side of the road if they detect that you've fallen asleep. But there's a problem. These systems rely on loads of sensors that have to be fitted in specific places, and a few car makers make a real mess of integrating them into the car's design. Let's say you've just bought a brand new Mercedes-AMG S63 and you want all of the optional driver assistance technology you can get. In that case, you're going to have to put up with a massive black box sticking out the grille of the car. Look at it! Looks like a knockoff accessory from Wish.com. And Mercedes isn't the only one. The Ferrari Roma also has a naff looking sensor on the front. This one isn't even in the middle. When I first saw it, I thought it was a GoPro someone had stuck on the bumper. BMW is at it as well. Look closely at the right hand grille on the new M3 or M4 and you'll see a huge black box underneath the number plate. Yeah. As if it wasn't bad enough just with those grills. Makes it worse. Electric cars are the future, and one of the things I'll already miss about combustion engines is the sound they make. But some car makers are fitting their electric cars with sound generators that mimic petrol engines, and they sound rubbish. Just listen to the noise the new electric Abarth 500e makes. It's like someone recorded an old Abarth 595, mixed in a few guitar chords and added the sound of a plane landing. Why would you make a new electric car sound like it has a petrol engine? Feels like a step backwards. When the car was invented, people didn't want it to sound like a horse, did they? They didn't have like synthesizers and make the car neigh. This might be the Brummie in me talking, but the price of new cars is out of control. A base model Volkswagen Golf in 2003 cost just under £11,000. That's about £18,500 in today's money when you account for inflation. Fast forward 20 years to 2023 and the base model Golf costs almost £26,000. That's almost £7,500 more. I think I'll stop this accent, you get the idea. The main reason for this price hike is technology. New cars are packed with extra safety technology and infotainment gadgets that didn't exist 20 years ago. But what if you don't need that stuff and you just want a cheap runaround? The cheapest new cars in the UK right now are the entry-level Dacia Sandero and Citroen C3. They both cost around £13,000. But you won't be seeing any sub £10,000 new cars again, ever, probably. All the new technology that we get in new cars doesn't just add to the price, it also makes cars heavier. Take the Vauxhall Corsa for example. The first generation car only weighed 850 kilograms when it came out in 1993. 30 years later, the Corsa weighs almost 1.1 tons. It's put on 240 kilograms. And it's not just the technology that makes the car heavier, it's also physically a lot bigger too. The latest Corsa is over 30 centimeters longer and almost 20 centimeters wider than the original Mark 1. And it's not just small hatchbacks that are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Performance cars are piling on the bounds too. Take the Mercedes-AMG C63. The previous generation car had a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 and it weighed about 1,700 kilograms. The new version has a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine, but it also has a hybrid system and 4-wheel drive. This means it's more than 400 kilograms heavier than the old car. It weighs a bonkers 2,111 kilograms. And don't get me started on the new BMW XM. Yes, it's an SUV and always heavier, but it's also the first car developed exclusively for the M division since the M1 supercar from 1978. So it has big, but also lightweight sporty shoes to fill. Trouble is, it'll also need a big pair of trousers because it weighs more than 2,700 kilograms. That's not very sporty now, is it? I think it's about time to put these cars on a diet. Something else that gets on my nerves is that new cars just won't shut up. I don't just mean voice commands that chime in every time you say a certain manufacturer's name. So it's quite obviously a Mercedes, isn't it, the design?
How may I help you?
in my Mercedes vehicle.
How can I help?
It's like with many systems, sometimes it doesn't.
Price for image systems is 1.37 Swedish krona on the Stockholm Stock Exchange, up about 3.79% since previous close.
I'm also talking about the annoying safety beeps and bongs that play all the time in some cars. Most of these noises are fairly subtle. But listen to this alarm you get when you open the door in a Peugeot E208. And listen to this racket from the Skoda Superb. Right, let's check out the back seats. Shut the f up! I understand why some cars beep if they detect an obstacle ahead. This sort of safety tech makes sense if it helps you avoid a crash. But annoying bongs that play for no reason when the car's parked, we don't need any of that, thank you very much. Every new car has to come with a reversing camera in the United States. It's a legal requirement. This means that more and more cars are coming with these cameras as standard in other markets. That sounds great, but lots of cars don't come with a system for washing these cameras. That's probably fine in sunny California, but it's not so good in the UK, where it rains all the time. Our reversing cameras get covered in filth and you have to get out and clean them by hand so you can actually use them. Some car makers have fitted their cars with built-in jet washers to keep these cameras clean. It's a good idea, but some makers haven't quite got it right. Take BMW and the new iX and 7 series for example. These cars' washer systems pump out so much soapy water that it looks like the car has wet itself. A better solution that a lot of other manufacturers use is to hide the camera away, usually underneath the badge, until it's needed. Then pops out, and then once you've done the maneuver, it pops away again, so it never gets covered in road grime. I hope you'll enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. If you want to watch some more videos, I've picked a couple out for you there. I think you'll like. Just click on those windows to watch them. Or if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to this channel. You can do that just by hitting the Carwow logo there. Simple.